Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here to our program tonight. Folks, we have quite a bit to talk about. I am no stranger to taking on large tasks. I'm no stranger to talk straight talk and to tell it the way it is. That's exactly what we're going to have tonight. We're going to have a talk to everyone in regarding what's going on here in our world. And some of it might be hard to take. So folks, hang in there. Yes, we're going to talk about earthquakes as well. We're going to talk about California earthquakes. There's a lot going on in California that everybody needs to know about. So let's get going with this program tonight. The first thing we're going to start off with is a salute to the United States military, to the country of the United States of America. If I had my way about it, I'd play every national anthem that we could for every country who's an ally of the United States, but unfortunately we cannot do that. We're going to join the We're going to join the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The Quartet Convention is going to give us the Pledge of Allegiance, and then the Barbershop Quartet from the United States Army will give us the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The hosts of the Barbershop Quartet Convention gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, which we thank them for. We want to thank all of our military members wherever they might be around the globe. Thank you for your service. Thank you for taking yourselves away from your families at this time in their lives, your life, and thank you for your service to your country. I want to thank all of our armed forces around the world, our allied armed forces, wherever you might be. God bless you. God bless you all, and thank you for your service. May you all return home to your families after your tours of duty end. God bless you all, and thank you all for what you do for your countries and for the United States of America. We appreciate that ever so much. Folks, let's get started with this, otherwise we'll never get through it tonight. Folks, I have some comments that I want to make. We've talked extensively about what has been happening in the Middle East yesterday. Israel versus Hamas. President Trump is very angry. I'm going to play a clip for you from the Glenn Beck Show to give you an idea where things are going right now. After that, we'll have a discussion about what I think, where things are headed.
Coming out of the Second World War. And we just moved a carrier battle group into the Med to send a very strong issue to Iran. So
Okay, this is Jack Carr, who is a former Navy SEAL. He's also written a book about all of this stuff that's going on. Not specifically about what happened this weekend, but he is very knowledgeable.
Our administration says that there's no evidence linking Iran to these attacks. We did move a carrier battle group into the Med to send a pretty clear message to Iran and in support of Israel. So that's something right there. But we do move carrier battle groups around the world quite frequently, obviously, from the end of World War II up to today. It's our major way we project our strength and really keep the world safe and protect trade. It's worked up to this point. But now we're kind of retreating from that. We don't have as many ships as we used to have. China is obviously building up their Navy. So things are shifting geopolitically in the world and as far as the military powers go. No doubt about that. How long will it take? Not exactly sure, but there is a shift going on right now. So what else can we do to support Israel? I'm not sure they're going to need too much from us, meaning we put a carrier battle group right there. If things do escalate and Hezbollah does more in the north and something spills over into Iran, then perhaps. But gloves are off right now. Israel restraint is out the window. They've restrained themselves over the last at least decade towards Hamas, even towards Hezbollah. That restraint is now completely out the window. And Hamas really has thought, and other terrorist groups, insurgent groups, thought of Israel as an occupying nation, a colonial nation, for lack of a better term. And they looked to the past. They looked to the French in Algeria. They looked to the British in Kenya or India. But the difference is, and for some reason Hamas and other groups don't recognize this, the French had France to go back to. The British had Britain to go back to. Israel doesn't have anywhere to go. They're going to stand and fight. They have no other choice. In fact, their President Herzog, as he addressed the nation in the wake of the attacks, he concluded his remarks with something along the lines of, this time too, the state of Israel will win. We have no other choice.
So the White House, we're talking to Jack Carr, said the president will struggle to help Israel replenish stockpiles of weapons and ammunition as it gears up for full-scale war against the Iranian-backed terrorists in the region. Congressional official told the Wall Street Journal that they expect Israel to request advanced U.S.-produced GBU-39 small-diameter bombs, small arms, ammunition, and 122-millimeter tank rounds, mortars, and more. The official said being able to supply Israel with enough Tamir interceptors to replenish their Iron Dome was most worrisome and the biggest problem the administration will face. How prepared are we, or are we just giving everything away?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that our enemies are certainly asking, and certainly watching. They're seeing untold billions go to Ukraine, along with arms and other places around the world, of course, as well. Which begs the question: well, how able are we to defend ourselves in a one-front war, a two-front war, a three-front? And the answer to that, if you're looking from the outside, is that we're probably not as prepared as we were a decade ago, 2 decades ago, even 3, when we really drew down at the end of the Cold War. So the other side of this, though, is that we have experience at the tactical level. We've proven at the strategic level not to be so adept. With senior level military leaders, politicians, even bureaucrats. But at the tactical level, we have the most experienced force that we've ever had, because that tactical level, those E2s, E3s, E4s, E5s, E6s, E7s, those officers that are now majors and lieutenant colonels, they were once a brand new officers in 01, 02, 03, fighting in Iraq, fighting in Afghanistan, and they're coming up the ranks. They don't have as much to work with, but they have experience. So that's what we have, and that's something that we need to capitalize on. But experience without some of those tools, it makes things a little more difficult. So it is certainly something that we need to be aware of, that the next administration needs to be aware of. And if you want to capitalize on this experience, not let it go to waste, if you want to turn those lessons that we learned over the last 20 years into wisdom going forward, well, now we need to equip those soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that have that experience, that sacrifice so much, with the tools they need to defend the nation.
Jack Carr, thank you so much. When's your new book come out?
Well, next May is it's on the books right now, but my first nonfiction, which is actually has a Hezbollah connection, but it's called Targeted. It's my first nonfiction, 1983 Marine barracks bombing.
Wow.
Is coming out next fall. So,
Okay? He's writing a book about the Marine barracks bombing. Okay? One of my friends that I was a police officer with was at that bombing, and he got hurt. He was medically hospitalized for over a year because of what happened over in Lebanon when the Marine barracks got bombed. Now, folks, we have a lot of decisions to be making. We have a ton of decisions to be making for ourselves. Okay? One of the questions that I want to ask: how did Israeli intelligence miss an attack of this scale on Israel? On the scale that Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah had allegedly been planning for the past year. What is coming as Israel moves to possibly eliminate Hamas once and for all? That is what they have said, and that they have set out to do right now. Sunday, after they got hit, their cabinet got together with all of their military personnel. Israel had set forth a plan to take out the Gaza Strip once and for all and eliminate Hamas and Hezbollah fighters forever. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Why did Israel's enemies choose now to attack? Okay? You heard it from Jack Carr, who believes that timing is no coincidence, especially since the U.S. has been pushing to influence Saudi Arabia to normalize relations with Israel. He and Glenn Beck sat down and discussed it, as you heard. Now, what is going on? As you also heard, the United States has sent the battle group from the USS Gerald R. Ford. One of our largest aircraft carriers is now on site in the Mediterranean. ready to support Israel in whatever they ask us to do. We have 2 other aircraft carrier task force out there as well. The Gerald R. Ford has 70 F-18, F-35 fighters. 70 of them. The other aircraft carrier task force have nearly the same thing, which means we have around 270 aircraft, as well as armament, where we can rain hellfire and damnation all over the Gaza Strip. Between Israel and ourselves, we can probably eliminate the problem. The problem is this: Iran is affiliated with Russia. Where did Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas get their weapons? President Biden has been playing out of both sides of his mouth. As I told you last night, and I have proof of this, Biden has given Ukraine, as you know, millions and billions of dollars in armament and money. Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, has also been talking out of both sides of his mouth, asking the United States for more and more money and more support. Whereas Zelensky has also been selling a lot of the armament that we've been giving him to the black market, as well as money that he has given Hezbollah and Hamas and Iran. So all of that money that Joe Biden has been giving to Ukraine has now gone to our enemies in the Middle East. The United States Congress needs to make damn sure that Joe Biden and his administration don't give 1 red cent more to Ukraine. Not 1 red cent, not 1 tank, not 1 fighter, not 1 person to Ukraine. The situation is not what it seems in Ukraine. Period. Now, I want to play another segment from Dan Bongino earlier today. Please watch this carefully. You need to pay attention here, please. If you want to truly understand what we're going to say in the next little while, please pay attention to Dan Bongino.
Listen, I said the title of today's show, keep your head on a swivel. That's not, I'm being dead serious, folks. There's a lot of intel coming in and out. A lot of very serious people. The situation in the United States is now at a DEFCON level. We haven't been at it a long time. There are unquestionably cells operating in the United States right now that are ready to impart a lot of pain and death upon people of the United States. I'm going to say to you today, if you can avoid big cities, try to. At least until things maybe simmer down a little bit. If you can avoid big cities, I understand, but keep your head on that swivel. Keep your eyes open. Keep the Bluetooth headphones out of your ears. Everywhere you go, look at the exit. Look at it. You're sitting in a restaurant, I want you to understand there's an exit in the back of the kitchen. You're sitting in a movie theater, try to stay somewhere where you can access an exit or sit near the end so you can get out quick. If you can arm yourself and protect yourself and you're willing to train with it, then do it. If you can't, I want you to understand that you could be a victim too. There's credible information out there, more than credible information, that some of these people, some of these savages are in the country right now. What they're planning to do, I don't know. There's some speculation that they're looking to buy rifles, maybe of the belt-fed variety, seek population centers, and do some damage like they did in California and Orlando. The fight is absolutely coming here, folks. Our border is absolutely out of control. We have no idea who's here right now. And clearly some of the people here want to do damage. I want you to listen to this. This is why Joe Biden is so incredibly dangerous right now. Joe Biden does not believe in anything, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Biden believes in whatever the radical left tells him to believe. The Ilhan Omars, the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders. Ilhan Omar, clearly a sympathizer with the savage. I went after her last night on Twitter because she doesn't know jack about this situation, yet she pretends to. Ilhan Omar is a sympathizer with the savage. There is nothing Joe Biden is more afraid of than the ire of the squad, because even though they're small in number, they command a large portion of the increasingly radical Democrat Party. Joe Biden believes in nothing. Nothing. That was a clip.
Okay? Joe Biden doesn't believe in anything. Period. Joe Biden has a problem. It's called dementia. He has no idea what he has handlers for. He has no idea what those handlers are talking to him and telling him to do. Joe Biden has lost contact with reality. He's not the president. He's not in charge. His handlers are in charge. I think one of his handlers are Barack Hussein Obama. That's my belief. So guys, what are we to do? Okay? What are we to do? Our strongest ally in the world is Israel. Why? Why is Israel one of our strongest allies in the world? It goes back to thousands of years ago, when the Lord promised Abraham and the descendants of Abraham a land of milk and honey, a land that they could reside on, whereby they would be safe. Because of politicians in Israel, because of politicians over in the Gaza Strait, politicians in Iran and Iraq and Turkey and Russia and China. Israel is no longer safe. And as a result, most of the world is not safe as well. I tried to pick up a couple video clips. One of Hezbollah and Hamas instigators in Atlanta, New York, Chicago, and San Diego, putting up protests and causing fighting going on in the streets. In my old hometown of San Diego, those fighters are alive and well. In Balboa Park, the largest and most beautiful park in San Diego. Balboa Park these Hezbollah fighters were there, causing problems with people from Israel that had the Israeli flag with them, supporting Israel. And these fighters showed up to cause problems, fight, and hurt those people. All these people say, oh, we're not here to cause any problems. We want to just come here to the United States where land and money is plentiful, where we can get out of oppression in our own countries, where we can escape oppression and we can also escape persecution. But here they run the borders. They run the borders. Already, 9 million people have run the borders. And there may be another 9 million that came in unexpectedly, without being caught first. Yes, there's a catch and release program at our border. Catch and release into the country. Some towns in Texas are having a problem. It's called explosion of population. Those border cities are exploding at the limits. They can't handle all the people coming across the borders. Our own law enforcement, Customs Border Protection, United States Border Patrol, United States National Guard, Texas law enforcement cannot control it. Texas law enforcement is trying. The border population is exploding because of the oppression of the Democrat Communist Party in America. Folks, it's up to us to stop this onslaught. Dan Bongino said something very important. He said something very, very, very important. Your lives may depend on it. I'm just saying. Your lives may depend on this. He said, keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel. There is some serious intel coming in, and it's not good. I'm telling you folks, that is the gosh awful truth. Keep your head on a swivel. I'm with Dan Bongino. Now, while he said that, there's something else you need to know. On his program today, he said there's a problem. You heard him say it here. That's why I played that part of the clip for you. Allegedly, we are at DEFCON 5, which is peace. We're at DEFCON 5 October 1st, just 10 days ago. What happened during this week, this past weekend, changed everything. The DEFCON levels have changed. We do not know exactly what DEFCON level we were at. Only the United States military personnel will tell us. and they're not going to. They are not allowed to tell us, because it would jeopardize their mission and jeopardize their lives. We may be, in fact, at DEFCON 2. We have not fired any shots yet. But if we start firing shots, the DEFCON level will go down to DEFCON 1, which would be the United States has entered World War III, down in the Middle East. Why is this a problem? Because, folks, we have China knocking at our door over in Taiwan. We have Russia knocking down the Europeans' door, allegedly taking control of Ukraine. But there is rumor that Russia wants more. He wants to march into Poland and Romania and other European countries, including Germany. And he's pushing. He's pushing all kinds of borders. He's going above and beyond what he's ever been doing. He's basically doing what he wants to do. At the same time, Russia has allies in the form of Turkey and Iran. And you can believe anything you want to believe when it comes to that. Because quite honestly, it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. Washington's fixation on the war in Ukraine is understandable given the horrors of Russian violence and atrocities. Unfortunately, while Washington is so focused on Europe, Iran keeps moving ominously closer to becoming a nuclear weapons state. And it's time that the United States does more to prevent the Ayatollahs from developing nuclear weapons and setting off a nuclear proliferation chain reaction. Iran is a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT, which requires the regime to foregoing the pursuit of nuclear weapons. Iran claims no interest in nuclear weapons, but its actions go far beyond peaceful purposes, in defiance of the NPT. The consequences of a nuclear-armed Iran are terrible for the United States and the rest of the world, the Middle East, and the existential for the state of Israel. That is why American policy remains consistent in its desire to deny Iran acquisition to nuclear weapons. The question is, how best to achieve this policy? It is widely known that Russia may have given Iran the capability to achieve a nuclear weapon. 4 years ago, President Trump had basically had his thumb on Iran, where he wanted Iran. But things have completely changed. Prior to President Trump coming into power, Barack Hussein Obama was in power. Barack Hussein Obama sent $9 million to Iran in the middle of the night on a plane. $9 million on a pallet inside of a plane. What was that payment for? Allegedly to return anyone that they had captured previously. That didn't happen. That did not happen. When President Trump took over, President Trump had his fingers on all of these countries that had any kind of capabilities to turn on any other country around the world. Nancy Wolfer is asking, is that the aircraft carrier Ford? Okay, we were talking about the aircraft carrier Ford that they were talking about on the Glenn Beck show earlier today. Okay? We have 3 aircraft carrier groups over in the Mediterranean right now as a show of force. As a show of force. Please, guys, please pay attention to what I'm saying. I know you have questions. I know you want to talk amongst yourselves. Please pay attention to what we are saying, and I will talk to you. I will answer any questions, and we'll go over things ourselves. You deserve to need and have a need to know, and a right to know. That's why we're talking tonight. Yes, Dwight D. Eisenhower could be next over in the Med. We'll see. Like I said, President Trump had his fingers on every powerful nation to keep from going into any kind of wars and negatively influencing any other countries. Then Biden came into power. The Biden administration's answer has always been diplomacy, apparently believing that Iranian willingness to talk must signal sincerity. Diplomacy has been accomplished little. Diplomacy has accomplished very little. More than just to provide a cover for Iran to advance its nuclear and ballistic missile capabilities. This approach is no longer enough. Like I said at the beginning of this program, Biden has sent billions of dollars to Ukraine. Biden has sent billions of dollars in military equipment to Ukraine. In Ukraine, President Zelensky has apparently auctioned it in the black market. On the black market. And Hezbollah and Hamas fighters in Iran have gotten our equipment and our money. So the approach that Biden has been doing no longer works. In order to stop what is going on, the United States must immediately shift gears to active deterrence, while at the same time developing a plan to disable Iran's nuclear facilities should deterrence fail. Since Iran has backed Hezbollah and Hamas in attacking Israel, Israel is now hell-bent on destroying Hamas and Hezbollah fighters in the Gaza Strip. I told you about that last night. They said no more. No electricity, no food, no gas, no water. And Israeli jets are over Hamas and on Hezbollah targets right now, destroying them. Destroying them. Now, those people that have come across our borders from that same area. We don't know how many in terms of numbers that have come across. But judging by the protests this weekend and the continuing protests right now, they have enough fighters and they will locate the weapons necessary to provide themselves with strength to overcome any kind of resistance that they will come across here on United States soil. With law enforcement, the National Guard, and other military. I have a feeling that World War III may have come to our shores. No shots have been fired as of yet. But we've talked about this before, and I'm not the only one that's been talking about it. We have militaries from around the world, Chinese and Russian, men ages 18 to 45 have come across without any kind of IDs, telling our border officials, oh, it's okay, I'm a good person. Some of these same people have been committing crimes of rape, robbery, murder here in our country because we have not stopped them. The longer the United States delays the deterrence, the easier it is going to become for Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas to accomplish their nuclear capabilities and take out their neighbors and the United States, because it's been the United States that has kept the kibosh on any shenanigans. So if we do not as a nation come to grips with what's going on and stop it right here and right now, it's going to allow everything to continue. Carl Sr. says, be very cautious during Halloween. I'm saying be very cautious between now and then and ongoing. Like I said, keep your head on a swivel. Iran appears now to have in place 2 of the 4 pieces needed to field nuclear weapons. First, Iran needs the capability to enrich uranium to at least 90% weapons-grade purity. In January 2023, the International Atomic Energy Association found uranium enriched to 84% purity at Fordo, Iran, demonstrating the capability to easily reach the 90% level when desired. Second, Iran needs uranium enrichment capacity for multiple weapons. In 2022, Iran began enriching uranium to 60% and now has enough to produce 5 weapons in less than 30 days. In less than 30 days. Third, Iran needs a design for a functioning weapon. Who do they have in their back pocket? Vladimir Putin. We don't know which design approach that the Iranians are going to take, but there's several places to turn to for assistance. None are friends of the United States. Iran's past relationship with North Korea and A.Q. Khan could expedite this peace. Fourth, Iran needs effective delivery vehicles. Iran's ballistic missile program is much like the North Korean program, advancing rapidly and are clearly capable of accurate strikes within the region. The danger is that Iran is posturing itself for a swift breakout that leaves the United States in a position of too little too late. A nuclear-armed Iran is far worse for regional stability than a nuclear-armed North Korea. A nuclear-armed Iran is wholly unacceptable given the costs and the risks. First, when nuclear weapons may allay Iran's fear of external attack, they would provide it the means to employ nuclear coercion to devastate Israel and eventually hold, quote unquote, the great Satan at risk, the United States. NATO's European member states will face risks before the United States, making Iran challenge a problem for them as well. Second, an Iranian nuclear state would create instant instability and uncertainty stemming from Iranian capabilities, their intentions, and lack of nuclear bargaining experience, and the dilemma of nuclear control should the regime collapse. If the Islamic regime collapsed, who would be in control of the nuclear weapons? It appears right now that most of the Iranian population want nothing to do with the Ayatollahs. The population of Iran wants nothing to do with not just the Ayatollahs, but the whole scheme of what has been going on. If that happens, who is going to be in control of the nuclear arsenal? It goes a step further. Third, Saudi Arabia and other Middle East states already have let the United States know that nuclear Iran will undoubtedly lead to war and nuclear proliferation. Fact. Fourth, Iran could become emboldened to expand terrorism. Duh, look what just happened Saturday. Proxy wars, or use non-nuclear weapons for mass destruction. What do you think they just got to doing? They blew in Hamas fighters and Hezbollah fighters blew into Israel, knocked over their security in the south. There was a concert going on at a venue down there. Over 200 young people had gone to a rave. Some people went down there to get tattoos and listen to music. Others went down there with other ideas on their minds. Hezbollah and Hamas fighters blew in there, shot and killed, maimed, raped dozens of young men and young women in a single bound. Over 200 young people, men and women, dead as a result of that activity on Saturday. And they didn't stop. They kept going. As I have seen videos since then, I've seen videos where Hezbollah fighters are jumping off motorcycles, grabbing young women out of cars, raping them, slashing them, and killing them, and taking other people back across into the Gaza Strip, allegedly as hostages. Now, folks, I don't believe that these people that have been taken across the border into the Gaza Strip are still alive. If Hezbollah has not killed them, they have been killed by the Israeli military coming in and bombing the crap out of that area. Okay? All because of what? Iran and the Hezbollah fighters and Hamas. Iran has been supplying Hezbollah and Hamas with rockets. That's how they have achieved the ground that they've taken. Fifth, American credibility. Whatever is left may be too limited for the United States to effectively achieve its foreign policy aims. With Saudi Arabia already turning to China, the Middle East will become a very unfriendly place if Iran goes nuclear. Okay? Already, the United States dollar is nothing in Iran, Saudi Arabia, or other places. It has been replaced with the Chinese yuan. It shows you what the Middle East and where the Middle East has gone. They no longer respect the United States of America. We are a laughingstock. The United States has basically three options to support its non-proliferation policy. First, the United States can continue with diplomacy, using economic levers to entice Iranian restraint. This is favored by many European capitals, despite Iran's clear willingness to suffer economically to achieve its nuclear weapons program. And Iran also has, as I spoke before, the backing of Russia. Second, the United States of America can employ a deterrence policy option of various threats aimed at influencing Iran to forego weapons acquisition and reverse course. Israel favors deterrence. This option could involve the United States military demonstrating its ability to strike Iran's nuclear facilities, including the KC-46 tankers purchased by Israel in 2022, exercising the full JCPOA UN-directed sanctions snapback option, and delegitimizing Iran's reckless leaders. Delegitimizing Iran's reckless leaders. Third, the United States can conduct a preemptive military strike of Iran's nuclear facilities. Given what's been going on there this weekend, and what continues going on right now as we speak, that option has a lot of credibility right now. All the Gerald R. Ford commanders and the other aircraft carrier task force, all they have to do is be given a go. And everything that was happening before will be gone. This would be taken to deny Iranian nuclear breakout if deterrence fails. The goal would be eliminating the nuclear threat, not regime change. However, what will happen? What will happen if we attack Iran for any reason, including the Israelis attacking Iran as well? And that's what Israel wants to do. What do you think will happen? Given the fact that we know that Putin backs Iran, if we attack Iran, what do you think will happen? Given that, it is still high time that the United States shifts its approach to ensuring Iran does not develop a nuclear weapon, moving away from this so-called diplomacy to active deterrence while preparing active efforts is the obvious choice. American diplomacy has enabled Iran to move forward. With its own nuclear ambitions, so that it now sits on the precipice of becoming a nuclear power. We are all past due in taking the kind of action to ensuring that Iran is deterred. There can be no doubt. The current regime seeks nuclear weapons and is a pariah in the international system. A pariah. Because they have gone to other corners of the world to obtain what they want. Inaction and empty words only delay the inevitable. And that day is getting closer and closer to happening. Every day, getting closer and closer to happening. Now, as you see, this DEFCON warning system has us at a DEFCON 5. Only our military knows exactly where we're at. Our military are the only people that know where we're at. It does not matter whether the the DEFCON warning system says we're in DEFCON 5. The DEFCON warning system has told us, and they have reduced the numbers on occasion. This number has not changed since October 1st. I honestly don't know whether it's reliable or not. The only thing I know is that our military members are telling us that what they say is not current. Only the military knows what is going on. Plain and simple. Okay? What I told you about Israel. Okay? The land of Israel was given to Israel by the Lord, with promises and covenants made, all the way back to Abraham the prophet. Have the children of Israel been keeping with their promises to the Lord? I kind of doubt it. Given what I know about Iran and what I know about Israel, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm asking all of you to keep your heads on a swivel. What is going on in Iran and in the Gaza Strip and Israel could come back and stab us all in the back. For the first time, I'm going to ask all of you, if you are able, make sure that you have a way and or a method to protect yourselves. A legal way and a method to protect yourselves. Make sure you're trained and able to use those deterrents. Because in the coming days and weeks, you may need to use those deterrents to save your lives. Okay? Look around you. Look around you and see yourself what's going on. I'm asking each one of you to start paying attention to what we're saying. Don't just look at me and pretend that everything's good. Everything is not good. I want everybody to pay attention to what we're saying. I'm keeping an eye on what's going on. I have my sources, and they keep telling me things. Okay? I want you to know that I'm here for you. Okay? I'm here for you. Carl Sr. says he's 2 hours from the southern border. That really is not a good place to be. Holistic nutrition nurse Ava Marie just gave us a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. God bless you for helping us. That means so much to me. It really does. Folks, we have a lot to talk about still. Before I get talking about earthquakes, we have something else that's been going on. Okay? Earlier last week on Thursday and Friday, we spoke of a rather bizarre weather condition off the coast of Mexico. It was literally all over the place. They thought it might become a tropical depression. Well, it might be up from a tropical depression to nothing more than a tropical storm. It never made it that far. Now this same storm is out over south central Mexico. Okay? It's not doing anything. This that you see here are the remnants of Max dissipating over the Mexican land. This will be the last advisory for Max. However, something else is happening. Okay? Hurricane Lydia. Hurricane Lydia, folks. This is serious. Heather is monitoring this. Heather is our weather monitor for this storm. This is still out over the Riviera of Mexico. Acapulco, Manzanillo, Zihuatanejo. Also, Puerto Vallarta. You can see it. Right now, this is a major storm to be dealt with. This is a hurricane. Lydia has now been upgraded to a Category 4 storm. It's just barely off the coast of Mexico. It already has sustained winds of 140 miles per hour and growing stronger by the minute. By the time it reaches land, like I said, the Riviera of Mexico, Manzanillo, Zihuatanejo, Acapulco, and Puerto Vallarta, this storm may become a Category 5. I honestly thought that this storm would not do anything. I thought it would move north and just die out in the Southern California cooler waters of the Pacific. It has not gotten there. And in fact, as you can see, the cone of uncertainty takes it right over Puerto Vallarta. and the surrounding areas. What does this mean? Folks, as this storm expands into Mexico, the outer bands of Lydia are already 35 miles out from the center of the storm, meaning Lydia has a total circumference of over 75 miles. 75 miles. This is different from other storms we've seen in the Atlantic Ocean, which have been 100 to 150 miles deep, meaning width of the outer bands. It's still highly concentrated, meaning it's a very dangerous storm. The outer bands here in Mexico will reach out and will destroy various parts of Mexico. Mexico is not that great in terms of building codes. Homes will be destroyed. Homes and businesses will be destroyed by this storm. If you are in Puerto Rico, Manzanillo, even Mazatlan, Mexico, Zihuatanejo, you need to go for cover now. You need to be very well prepared. You need to seek higher ground and get away from the coast. This storm will have values that you may not want to see. Hurricane force winds, storm surge up to 4 feet high, which will destroy the beaches of the Riviera of Mexico. It'll totally destroy the Riviera of Mexico as we know it. This is not going to be a friendly storm. It's a very dangerous storm. And as it goes over Mexico, it will remain a very dangerous storm for a while. Like I said, it may become a Category 5 before it even reaches land tonight. This means that the storm winds and the eye will continue to tear apart the ground areas. You need to get out of the way of this storm if you possibly can. If you're in Mexico and can hear my voice, leave. Leave these areas now. Go north or go south, but get out. This storm is moving north-northeast. You can see the storm direction here. I'm giving you guys a heads up. It's already a Category 4 storm with sustained winds of 140 miles per hour. This is a very dangerous hurricane. Go north or go south, but get out of the way of this storm now. You only have a matter of hours. If you're going to try to ride it out, make sure you have plenty of food. Several days worth of food and water. Make sure you have supplies to be able to weather this storm. Like I said, this is going to be a very terrible, mean, rotten storm. Literally. Be very careful with it. Very careful. This is also going to move east. As this moves out, it could go into the Gulf of Mexico. All of you need to be aware of this. If it goes into the Gulf of Mexico, it could also ramp up just a little bit before it hits Texas. You guys need to know this. And any of the other people trying to come in to Texas, you need to be aware of what's going on. You also will be affected by this storm. People are going to die as a result of this storm. You need to know what is happening at all times. We will try to keep you updated on what happens here. Okay? We're going to keep you updated. Hurricane Heather says, I would not ride out a Cat 4 by the beach in Mexico. I would not either. Get away. Go to higher ground and go north or south to get away from this storm. Like I said, you only have a matter of hours to do it. Does anybody have any questions of me? Okay? Does anyone have any questions of me about either this storm or what's happening over in Israel? Okay? Flooding and landslides here is going to be a huge issue. Land is very much unstable throughout this entire region. Very unstable. There's going to be a lot of property damage. Evacuate if you have the possibility. Get out of Dodge. Get out of Dodge. Any questions? Hurricane Heather says the mountains here will not be very safe with up to 10 to 20 inches of rainfall. Absolutely not. Catherine Sigerson is talking about earthquakes and volcanoes. There are volcanoes in this area. There have been earthquakes in this area as well. We just barely got through having a 5.0 down here in Guerrero, Mexico. With these storms here, it could happen again. These heavy-duty hurricanes like this could cause a 5.0 large earthquake. You need to be aware of that again. Canadian Patriots congratulating me again on my wife's and my nuptials this past weekend. Thank you so much. Nathan Hester says, Ron, a little off topic, but can a CB-SWR meter be used on ham radio? No, it cannot. Don't even try. That you need to have other methods of making sure your antenna is in tune with your radio and your radio with your antenna. Okay? Please be careful with antennas and CB radios. If it's, or not CB radios, but a ham radio. Okay? Ham radios are completely different than CB radios. If you have a CB radio and you're trying to tune an antenna to a CB, the SWR meter on the CB might work. But if you're not careful, you're going to burn out the finals, meaning the back end of the radio. And it's not going to be of use to you or anybody else. So be very careful with that. Ava Marie is asking, nuptials? Did I miss something? Yes. Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. My wife became my wife again. Just so you know. I had been married up until 2021. My wife, for whatever reason, asked for a divorce. I know the reason. Right now, that's not important. It's not important. There were a lot of things said, a lot of things done. But we worked through everything. We worked through everything. We got our acts together, both of us. Not just her, but me. And we got married. And for that, I'm grateful for it. Okay? I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Does anybody have a question about the storm here? Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate that too. She says, I'm happy for you. Marie says, congratulations, Ron. She's a lucky gal. Yes, she is. And I'm a lucky guy. Okay? It goes both ways. Carl Sr. says, lucky woman she is. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. If any of you are already divorced from your spouses, it's worth yourselves giving each other a chance. Now, I don't ask anybody try to resurrect a marriage that was based on violence. Don't do it. Do not do it. But if you're separated or you're divorced from your spouses, I would say that there's a 50% chance that you could reunite again. Okay? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Nadine Susie in Idaho says our Amazon delivered 15 pallets of a shipment to our local post office. The Postal Service will not deliver. Their mail carriers are ready to quit. Yes, there's a lot of stuff going on within the U.S. Postal Service. A lot of very negative stuff. Okay? Highway Runner says, I was divorced and remarried the same guy. We're doing well. And that's a good thing. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Try as you might. Try to stay together for yourselves and for your children. It's worth it. Catherine Sigerson says she was separated and then he passed away in October 2019. I'm so sorry to hear about that, Catherine. God bless you for that. We try to stay together. Anyway, we have more things to talk about. Does anybody have any questions so far about anything that we've covered? I understand there's been a lot here. I wanted to get on the air at 6 o'clock. I got all kinds of stuff coming into me, right and left and upside down. I had to evaluate. It was important, and I had to evaluate what we were going to take on the air and what we were not. And what we didn't take on the air tonight, we may take on the air tomorrow. Nothing comes on the air here until I have a chance to vet it. Period. Thanks, Trish. We appreciate that. God bless you for that. Beth Wolf says 38 years. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Tony is asking, will they activate the draft again? I believe they probably will. Okay? Biden has already asked Congress to come up with a plan to draft men and women because the military cannot get enough qualified people to just come into the military. So I believe the Biden administration will ask for a draft. If President Trump comes into office, I don't believe we'll need to have a draft. But at least for this time, we may have to have one. That is why I have asked all of you. I don't care what country you're in. You need to make sure that you're adequately protecting yourself in everything you do. I'm talking preparedness-wise as well. Protect yourself and have your head on a swivel. Do not trust anyone. Do not trust anyone. Canadian Patriot says, my ex married 2 more times since me and all are related to me. She loves my family. That might be good. Nancy Wolfer is asking, I wonder how much the water temperatures have increased. The water temperatures have not increased that greatly, regardless of what the government says. The government will tell me that I'm lying. The government is lying to all of us. Don't trust the government. Try to get information on your own. The government will lie to you, they will cheat you, they will stab you in the back. Don't trust the government. Okay? I'm just saying. Don't trust it. It's not worth it. It's just flat out not worth it. Now, I want to go down here and show you some earthquakes around the country, and then we're going to go over into California. I want to make sure that you realize what is going on here. Okay? I think it's most important that we have an objective, realistic view on what's happening around the world. That's what we try to do here on Emergency Management Associates. The biggest earthquake here today is over here in northern Argentina, near the border with Chile. This is a 6.0 very strong earthquake. A 6.0 very strong earthquake. It shows only one other aftershock. That's baloney. There are about 20 different aftershocks already, and there's going to be more than that. This is a 6.0 very strong earthquake over here in the Andes Mountains. In the Andes Mountains. This is 35 miles west-southwest of Abra, Pampa, Argentina. Abra, Pampa, Argentina. Over here. Abra, Pampa, Argentina. A 6.0 earthquake in the Andes Mountains. Guess what, folks? Because of the rock base of the Andes Mountains, this earthquake probably was felt for hundreds of miles away. Okay? It was probably felt with hundreds of miles away. This also occurred at 6 a.m. in the morning. 6 a.m. in the morning. This is a very dangerous earthquake here. Even though it's in the Andes, it does not have an epicenter over near anyone where anyone lives. This is in the top of the Andes Mountains. It's still a very dangerous earthquake. We have not heard of people injured or fatalities as of yet. We're going to get more information as the day goes on. But this 6.0 earthquake is a very important earthquake as well. It's what they consider to be a green earthquake, meaning this earthquake has had origins with other earthquakes here in this region before it hit. Meaning there have been swarms of other earthquakes, and we've talked about these before. For the USGS to show one aftershock, that's BS. And this is a 4.4 moderate aftershock as well. It's BS. Okay? This 4.4 they say is 61 or 63 miles north-northwest of San Antonio de los Cobres. It might be. It might be. But folks, there's about 25 other earthquakes here that they are not telling us about, which is crap. Again, this is a time that they should be showing these. Because these earthquakes have energy. A lot of energy. Okay? The nearest earthquake here is a 4.2. 50 miles west-northwest of Puerto Chile. This is out on that great big huge earthquake superhighway here, just off the coast of South America here. That's what caused this earthquake. This 6.0 came from south of here. South of here. As you can see, there are other earthquake superhighways that flow into Chile and Argentina. Some of this earthquake power here stemmed from over here in the South Atlantic region, Tonga and Fiji. Earthquakes here have energy that continues to travel along these earthquake superhighways, and they make their way over here to South America. That's why this earthquake hit. Okay? That's exactly why this earthquake hit. And for them to say otherwise is irresponsible. For the USGS not to be showing what exactly happened is irresponsible. There's no reason on God's green earth that they should not be showing what is going on here. I'm just saying, it's irresponsible. And they need to be taken to the woodshed over it. Okay? I'm just saying. Let me show you something. Look at the earthquakes here in South America. You tell me what's going on here. They're definitely not telling the truth. They're just not flat telling the truth. Okay? Other earthquakes here. 3.4, 3.6. Okay? Unreal. 2.8. 3.1, 3.3, 3.1. They're not telling the truth here. There's no way they can be telling the truth. It's a sad day when we can't trust the people that bring us this information. We have to go out and search for ourselves to obtain this information. Okay? So there's that. Going over here into Tonga. This is another large 5.7 magnitude earthquake. This is an upper 5, guys. An upper range 5. A 5.7 large earthquake. 19 miles northwest of Hiiupotonga. Hiiupotonga. This is a very dangerous earthquake. It was out here in the Pacific. Out here in the Pacific. Even though this earthquake hit here, most of the energy from this earthquake was absorbed by the seawater, and it never got to Hiiupotonga or any place else. The people at Hiiupotonga may have felt some movement. Granted, they may have felt some movement from this earthquake. Okay? But they did not feel the brunt of a 5.7 earthquake. They may have felt something in the way of maybe a moderate 4.4, 4.5. But folks, they did not feel the brunt of this earthquake. It's not there. It's not there. Okay? So there's that earthquake here. Let's back out here some more. Okay, we just had another earthquake over here. Let's look at this. This is over in Singai, Indonesia. This is a 4.6 near Pulau, Indonesia. Okay? This was 108 miles deep. 108 miles deep, guys. This is out in the ocean here. We have some tiny islands out here. This is a 4.6. I don't believe even the tiny islands felt anything. This is only a moderate earthquake. The ocean water absorbed the stress of this earthquake as well. There are other earthquakes here. These are just minor inconveniences, basically. This is a 4.8 moderate earthquake here, an upper 4. It's in the Valdese Sea. The Valdese Sea here. Now, it's out here. Nobody felt this earthquake either. The ocean waters absorbed this earthquake. They got lucky. We've had 6s and 7s out here in the Valdese Sea before. When that has happened, in the same location. In the same location. When that has happened, other places have felt the earthquake because it was so strong. About a year or so ago, there was a 7.4 in the same location. It was felt over here in the north end of Australia. It was felt all the way over here in Australia. It felt so hard that the buildings rattled and moved. People ran out of the buildings. There were earthquake sirens that were notified. And people ran out of buildings. It was in the middle of the day. They ran out of buildings here. This one is not the case. It's only a 4.8. Why am I pointing this out? Because we will continue to have large earthquakes in this region. Okay? Over here in Java, Eastern Java area, this is a 4.4 here, 116 miles deep. Not a big deal. It's a moderate earthquake. That's all it is. It's on the earthquake fault. It's on the earthquake fault. It's out here in the ocean. Okay? Over here in Central Java. In Central Java, this is a 4.7. This is an upper 4.7 here. Still a moderate earthquake, 52.6 miles deep. Okay? Something to be dealt with. Folks, this is just barely off the coast. This may have felt, people living anywhere in this area may have felt some shaking. Some minor shaking. Okay? Yes, there are people that live around this area. We've had earthquakes in this area before. I've shown you this same area just about a month ago. This one is offshore. Okay? Just offshore here. Let's back this one out. USGS is not showing any other earthquakes. However, there are. There's about 20 some odd earthquakes here in Indonesia today. Why? Because, folks, there are seven different tectonic plates, each plate subducting under the other here. That's why we have so many earthquakes here in Indonesia. 7 different tectonic plates, one subducting under the other here. Further north, this is in the Northern Mariana Islands. The Northern Mariana Islands. Folks, this is far south of the Izu Islands, where we're having a lot of earthquakes here last week. This is a 5.0. USGS has downgraded to a 4.9. This is at least a 5.0 earthquake here in the Northern Mariana region, the Northern Mariana Trench. It's the earthquake superhighway here. Last week, we had swarms of earthquakes here in the northern part of the Mariana Trench. Now, while this still is an active area, it still is an active area. You need to know what's going on. You really need to know what's going on. Now, well, this is the case. Let me show you something else. Okay? Just so you know. Notice that USGS is not saying anything about no earthquakes over here in Australia. Let me show you something else that you need to know about. Look here. There's one in southwestern Australia and one over here in northwestern Australia. Let's take a look at it. Down here in southwestern Australia, we have a 2.0 in Dupage, Western Australia. Okay? This is a 2.0 near Dupage, Western Australia. Not a big deal. This is a minor earthquake. Okay? Northwestern Australia. This is really not a big deal either. However, this is a 3.17. This is a small earthquake, a 3.17 in the Great Sandy Desert of northwestern Australia. Okay? Very few people are living in this area. Very few people, I understand, that live in this area here. Just want you to know that. Again, USGS is not even being honest with us. They don't know squat. They don't know squat. Look at all the earthquakes here in Indonesia and going up into the Philippines. Okay? USGS says nothing about it, huh? That's stupidity. That's utter stupidity. This earthquake here, just southeast of Mindanao Island, Philippines. This is a 3.2 near Jose Abad Santos, just off the coast of Mindanao, Philippines. Today, at Mindanao, Philippines, they were hit by a 4.0 earthquake. USGS has this as a 3.9. A 4.0 earthquake over here in Mindanao, Philippines. We've had earthquakes here before. This, they say, is 3 miles west of Magsaysay, Philippines. Okay? It's interesting that the USGS does not say anything. Nothing. Not a thing about these earthquakes. Okay? They just don't. They don't give a flying rat's frosty keister what actually is going on. They don't want anybody to know. Japan today, over on the western side of Japan, this earthquake here, it's just a minor 2.6 near a volcano. Northwest of a volcano, here's a 2.6 right there. You can see the volcano right there. A 2.6 over here in Japan. Okay? Now, out here in the Sea of Japan, we've had numerous earthquakes here. Okay? This is near Suzu, Ishikawa, Japan. It's a 3.5 here. We have had 5.0s, 5.5s here before in recent months. This is just another aftershock of those earthquakes. Not really a big deal. Yes, folks, this is a populated area of Japan. It is a populated area of Japan. USGS not saying squat about it. It's a 3.5 small earthquake here. A 3.5 small earthquake. Okay? It's sad that the USGS would deny by omission. Oh, nothing's going on. Nothing's going on. Look at what they're not telling us about Alaska. Saying there's nothing going on in Alaska. We usually have 60 plus earthquakes in Alaska. Look at this. USGS is saying it, but this one at the European agencies not showing it. That's different. The European agency's not showing it this time. Why? Inquiring minds want to know. They're not even showing that earthquake over in southeastern Alaska. Nothing. Okay? The earthquake over here in southeastern Alaska is very important. This is a 4.2 magnitude earthquake. This is also 3.7 miles deep. 3.7 miles deep. It's on that fault zone coming around from the Aleutian Island Fault. Okay, it's in the Gulf of Alaska here. It's coming down here. It's going to come down this fault zone, going by Queen Charlotte Island, going down into the Cascadia subduction zone. I don't believe it's the only one here. I just don't believe it. Over here east of there, this is 37 miles east of Juneau. It's a 2.6 earthquake here. USGS is calling it an ice quake. It's too early for ice quakes. It's so too early for ice quakes here. That's a 2.6 and this is a 2.8. Okay? Crazy, huh? Oh yeah, and it gets crazier. It gets crazier. Yes, ice quakes do occur. Yes, they occur. This earthquake here, St. Helens, Mount St. Helens, it's a 0.0 earthquake. Wrong. How can it be a surface earthquake? 0.0 is considered a surface quake. This is 1.6 miles deep inside Mount St. Helens. This is not a surface quake. That is not a surface earthquake. Sorry, it doesn't make sense. It does not hold water. It does not hold water. We go east. Okay? This is a 2.1, they say. Okay? A 2.11. This is southeast of Umatilla, Oregon. They call this an explosion. This is a quarter of a mile deep. They call it an explosion. This is interesting. Okay? Let's zoom in here and see what's going on. Okay? There is quarry activity happening here. But folks, there's a lot more to do here than that. This appears to be happening at not an earthquake fault, near a quarry, yes, but near equipment. This may have been indeed an explosion, and if so, it was a very powerful explosion. A 2.1 magnitude earthquake. A 2.1 magnitude earthquake here. Okay? Folks, I have my questions about that. Let me zoom in here, because this does not make sense. Let me show you this. Look at that. Okay? A 2.1 earthquake here. 1 mile south of Umatilla, Oregon. This also is at a depth of 0.2 miles. 0.2 miles. Right next to the river there. Okay, let me zoom in back here. Okay. I think you're going to be kind of surprised at what we see here. This happens to be an electrical field. This is an electrical plant. This may have been a 2.1 magnitude earthquake underneath that electrical plant. This could have been an electrical explosion. I have not heard any news media talking about it. Okay? I will do more research on this one tonight to get to the bottom of that. But a 2.1 earthquake, just a very short distance from Umatilla, Oregon. Or Umatilla, Oregon, excuse me. Okay? Let's get into California quakes. I'm only going to show you what I can see, what is there for us. Okay? I'm going to show you what is going on in California. Isaiah's granny's reporting is 6.3 in Afghanistan. That's probably true. Okay? We just got through having a 6.9 there on Saturday, Friday night into Saturday. A very serious 6.9 earthquake. Over 2,000 people have already been killed. This is ongoing. Thanks, Isaiah's granny, for bringing that to our attention. It's very serious over there. It's still ongoing. I believe that earthquake was probably a 7.5 earthquake. A 7.5 earthquake. Doesn't surprise me. Not at all. All right, let's go take a look at earthquakes in California. Okay? Yes, we're going to talk about Victorville in a few minutes. Okay? What is this? Okay? This is the Channel Islands just off the coast of Los Angeles. We've been showing you an awful lot of earthquakes over here in the Channel Islands. A lot of seismic activity. Yes, we've had earthquakes here as well. 2.0 earthquakes. Minor earthquakes here. Okay? Look what we're having here. Here we have a lot of tremors here. A ton of tremors, if you will. This seismogram came to us at 9 a.m. It started off at 9 a.m. today. The top black line is 9 a.m. Shortly after that. Okay? We're talking about just before 10 o'clock. At approximately 9:48, 9:49, we had a 2.3 earthquake. On that green line there, there's a 2.3 earthquake at least. It may have been as large as a 2.5. There's a lot of tremors here too. And yes, we've had 2.5s here before. It's not surprising. The Channel Islands are very active with earthquakes. We have the Newport Inglewood Fault that leaves the LA Basin and goes out into the harbor there, out into the Pacific Ocean, and goes all the way down to San Diego. Before it reaches San Diego, it becomes the Rose Canyon Fault. Okay? So that might be inducing some seismic activity down there in San Diego County. Del Amo. In the past, we've talked about Del Amo and we've seen earthquake activity, minor tremors, and minor earthquakes here. For the third week in a row, there's been no activity here in Del Amo. They've turned off the seismograph here in Del Amo, California. This is just northwest of Los Angeles. We go over to Ellis, California. Nothing more here than tremors. That's all that's here. Nothing more than tremors. Ellis, we've seen a lot of seismic activity in terms of tremors and minor earthquakes here before. Nothing much to report in Ellis. Fox Airport out in Lancaster. Look at this. Out in Lancaster. Folks, this is the San Andreas Fault out here. We have nothing but tremors today. We've had some small earthquakes out here before. Nothing but tremors out here in Lancaster, California. Okay, let's keep moving. Just to give you an idea of stuff that's been going on. Okay, this past weekend, look at this. Santa Paula, California. Okay, this is a good-sized earthquake. Okay, they reported very weak shaking here. How can you have a minor earthquake that was reported very weak shaking? There was a lot of shaking It was a large earthquake. A large earthquake. Ojai, California, also reported weak shaking. Setacoy, weak shaking. Another person in Ojai, weak shaking. Oxnard, California. This is where the earthquake was. Okay? They said that this was a 2.7 earthquake. I say baloney. This was at least a 4.5 moderate earthquake. Earthquakes don't shake this much over a larger area. Light shaking here in Oxnard, no problem. Thousand Oaks, light shaking. Camarillo, very weak shaking. Santa Paula, moderate shaking. Interesting. They said it was more like a bang. Los Angeles, weak shaking. Heard it, the house creaked, felt very slight movement. Listen to this. They heard it. They heard it. The plate slipped. The plate moved against itself. They heard this earthquake. That happens. The house creaked. Oakville, light shaking. Ventura County, over by the coast, not felt. Fillmore, California, weak shaking. Windows shook, nothing else. Okay? That earthquake originated in Oxnard, California, northwest of Los Angeles. That happens. That actually happens a lot. Okay? Let me show you this. Newberry Park. This was felt over a wide area. Oxnard felt a loud boom and shaking. Look at this one here. Okay? I want to show you this. I believe this is really important. Okay? 28 kilometers southeast of the epicenter. Weak shaking. Newberry Park, weak shaking. Oxnard felt like somebody hit the side of the house and it moved really aggressively. I thought maybe a car had crashed and was confused, caused silence except for house sounding as if it was being hit with force. Interesting. This was the epicenter of the earthquake. The others heard a loud boom and shaking. Moderate shaking, single vertical bump. Simi Valley, not felt. Newberry Park again. Okay? 43.5 kilometers east-southeast of the epicenter. Very weak shaking. 43 kilometers, guys, that's a long way to shake. This possibly could have been a 5.0 earthquake. That's why I'm showing you this. This probably was a larger earthquake. I hesitate to even accept what USGS or even Caltech said this earthquake was. Okay? They lie. They don't want people to realize exactly what may have happened here. They're still not telling us the truth about what happened. Just so you know. Those of you over in the LA area, you probably felt this. Let's look at Laguna Hills today. Laguna Hills. We had some minor tremors here. Most of it was just 1.0 tremors. Larger than that to 1.2, 1.3 here. Okay? Nothing fell here. These are just minor tremors here. Let's keep on going. Let's go over to Light Height. This is Long Beach area going over to Anaheim. Look at this. I think this is very telling what's going on here as well. Look at the top here. It appears we may have had two 2.0 earthquakes here earlier this morning. Okay? just after 9 a.m. this morning. Earthquakes here are going off the paper here. Just barely off the paper. Could have been 2.0 minor earthquakes here. Notice what we see here. The colors are completely obliterating the white paper here. Okay? The color is completely over-encompassing the white paper it's on. Meaning there's a lot of shaking going on. A lot of shaking going on. And there may be of other 2.0 earthquakes here. It's possible. It's very possible. Now I'm going to raise this up. I'm going to expand it here so you can see what I'm talking about. This is this afternoon. Okay? You see it coming out as 4 p.m. I'm sorry, this was last night. Okay? This is 5 p.m. last night. Down here is 3 a.m. this morning. My bad. Okay? At the bottom here is 4 a.m. on the black line. Down here on the green line is 4:45 here on the left. Look at what we see here. Most of these are just minor tremors. Just minor tremors. One earthquake over here on the bottom right. It almost goes off the paper. Again, this could have been a 2.0 earthquake. This is Long Beach, California. Long Beach, California. Now, let me show you State Street over near Anaheim. Right here. Usually both at Light Hype and State Street we have a lot more earthquake activity. It's actually calmed down a little bit. However, look what we have here. This is not just tremor activity. Okay? Up at the top of this is 5 p.m. yesterday evening. On the black line. Those earthquakes that go off the black line here are at least 2.0 earthquakes. And you can see all that black color here. That means that was a secondary quake. A secondary quake. That secondary quake lasted about 10 or 12 seconds. This is still a relatively strong seismic event. Even though it's a 2.0, it's still a relatively strong seismic event. Nancy Wolper says, doesn't sound quite right, does it? No. Okay? This happens. Okay? Look at these other earthquakes. Okay? On that red line here. The red line over on the left is 5:15 here. We go over about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. This is 5:21 p.m. last night. All of a sudden, folks, this is about a 2.5, 2.7 earthquake. Okay, a minor earthquake here in Anaheim yesterday evening. Look what else we have here. We have other minor earthquakes as well. Then, okay, we go down here to 1 a.m. this morning. Over here on the left-hand side. Look what we have here. All of a sudden we have a 3.0 earthquake, maybe even a 3.3 earthquake here in Anaheim. Look at that. We haven't had 3.0 earthquakes here in Anaheim in a very long time. And this was not reported today. This is a reportable earthquake that USGS said nothing about. Look at the other reportable earthquakes here as well. On this blue line, this is at 10, the blue line here on the left-hand side is 10:30 last night. So this is about 10:34, 10:35 last night. This is another reportable earthquake, a 2.8 2.9 earthquake, not reported. There's many of these here on this seismograph. Unreported earthquakes here. Okay? Yes, we usually see more seismic activity than this. However, this is the first full-blown earthquake that people could feel. That earthquake that hit just after 1 a.m. today, about 1:01 a.m. today, that was serious. Okay? That was at least a 3.0, 3.3, maybe a little bit larger than that. Okay? That was Long Beach, or no, I mean Anaheim today. That was Anaheim. Look at all this seismic activity. It's beeping up. It's beeping up. The number of quakes has calmed down. There's not quite as many good-sized tremors here, but there are large earthquakes here as well. You can see it here. Okay? I'm not going to go all over Los Angeles today. I showed you what's going on in the major areas of LA today. Okay? Let's go over to Walnut La Puente. Yesterday I showed you a bunch of earthquakes here. Okay? They said they had some 2.5s and 3.0 earthquakes yesterday. Today they're not reporting this. Yes, we have earthquakes at La Puente, Walnut, California. Look at this. These are good-sized reportable earthquakes. That looks like Bombay Beach. This also looks like what we had at Mount Shasta before they turned off the seismograph at Mount Shasta. LBO seismograph at Mount Shasta used to look like this all the time. This is down in Los Angeles area, Walnut, California. Look at this seismic activity. Some of this is 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. There's a lot of 3.0s, 3.5 earthquakes here as well. You can see what's going on. This is serious big-time earthquakes. This happens to be a volcano, guys. This is the Walnut La Puente caldera. This is a volcano causing these earthquakes. That's what's going on here. This is exactly what's going on here. That's serious. USGS only shows us yesterday a 2.5 and a 3.2. Guess what? There's a lot more going on that they don't talk about. They have no intention of talking about this. That's what's sad here. They have no intention on telling anybody exactly what is going on. Let's go out to Victorville. Victorville. Isaiah's granny, you have a bunch of tremors hitting here. Again, this is the San Andreas Fault here. Those are tremors. Those are tremors. It's very busy there. It's very busy. We've seen it busier. Isaiah's granny says, good night, EMA family. I have to go. I just got company. Have a good night, dear. Isaiah's granny is one of my dearest friends. I appreciate her so much. She's a neat lady. Thank you for being part of our program, part of our family. Okay? This is out in the desert, Victorville, California. Again, the San Andreas Fault is affecting this area. Big time. Big time. Okay? Now, I think I'm going to try to show you some other things real quick. No, They've not transferred over information I wanted to show you. Okay, let's go south. The Imperial Valley, as you could have seen in the past few days, where we showed you stuff happen, it's moving, and it's moving in a big way. Right before we drop into the Imperial Valley, let's go out to Riverside. Riverside in the past has been busier than it's been here during the past few months. This is very light shaking. These are just minor tremors, not more than 1.0, 1.2 tremors anywhere. Usually you have larger seismic activity in terms of just tremors. This is kind of disappointing because we have seen much larger seismic activity here at Riverside before. It's not happening. Things have actually calmed down, I think, unless they've turned down the seismograph. They've done that before too. We've shown you that before. Okay, let's go down to the Imperial Valley. Okay, I want to start off today's investigation in the Imperial Valley down at El Centro Naval Air Station. Look at that. More earthquakes. More consistent earthquakes again. We're seeing 3.0 activity here. We're seeing tremor activity here. This big black earthquake in the center here, it's not that big. Okay? This happened after 11 o'clock last night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just about 11:06, almost 11:07 p.m. That was a 2.5 earthquake. A 2.5. You can see other minor earthquakes here as well, but you also see some larger quakes as well. Okay? So we have some small and minor earthquakes hitting El Centro. This is Juanito's area. He lives in El Centro. This is what's going on there. Okay? Let's look around here. Let's now go over to Westmoreland. Okay? Westmoreland. This is almost straight north and east of El Centro. Nothing more than tremors here. Again, the seismograph here is talking about last night. Okay? The top of this would be 5 p.m. on the black line. Look at all those tremors last night. Usually we have a lot more activity than this. This is pretty minor from what it usually is. Okay? That's Westmoreland. Let's go take a look at let's take a look at Holtville. Let's go southeast over to Holtville. This is Salton Sea Desert Research Station in Holtville, California. Look at the tremors here. We've actually had earthquakes here before, so this is less seismic activity than we've seen in Holtville in a while. It's still decently busy at times, but last night it quieted down rather rapidly, and all of a sudden all we have are just some very tiny tremors here last night. Okay? Let's go and show you now let's go up to the northeast end of the Salton Sea. This is North Shore Salton Sea. There's a small community there with this seismograph. This is just showing minor tremors. Consistent ongoing tremor activity up here at the northeast end of the Salton Sea. Okay? That's what's happening there. Then let's go straight south. The North Shore Salton Sea is nothing more than minor tremors. Very, very minor tremors. We go over to Bombay Beach now. Okay? This is straight south of the North Shore Salton Sea area. This is down on the San Andreas Fault as well. This is where the Salton Sea and the San Andreas Fault get together. Okay? At Bombay Beach, the San Andreas Fault goes underneath the Salton Sea. Prior to that is running side by side on the east side of the Salton Sea. Here it goes underneath. Look at the earthquakes here. They don't even resemble anything close to what we've seen at North Shore. This is what the Salton Sea, Bombay Beach area looks like every day. Every day. Yes, we have some 2.8s, 2.9 earthquakes. I think we may have had 2 3.1 magnitude earthquakes, small earthquakes. Small earthquakes. What I want to show you here is at the bottom. At the bottom here. Let's go over here to the right. Okay? Over here on this green line. On the far right here. This would be at 2:49 a.m. this morning. Look how long and tall this green line is here. At 2:49, just before 3 a.m. this morning. This, folks, was probably a 3.3 earthquake. Okay? It lasted about 7 or 8 seconds here. But it continued on over here on the 3 a.m. black line. Look at that. And here they cut off the bottom and the top of this quake. Here, this may have been just barely a 2.9 earthquake. They cut off the bottom and the top of that quake. This quake lasted over a full minute. It lasted over a full minute. Close to a minute and a half, if you count that, this one at 2:49 a.m. this morning. That's a lot of shaking. That's a lot of shaking. Folks, if they cut off the top and the bottom, that means that this earthquake was larger than what they're showing here. This is typically what we see here at Bombay Beach. They cut off the bottom and the top of all the major events here. They do not want us to see this kind of activity. They just don't do that. Heaven forbid they show us exactly what happened here at Bombay Beach. There's still a lot of activity here. This top earthquake here at the top in the red, the top of it may have been partially cut off. The bottom of it we can continue to clearly see what happened. But this one here in the green, that turns over here to the black over on the left hand side, that's clearly cut off, altered. Earthquake later on this morning, just before, what would that have been? Just before 3:15, okay? This was 3:13, something like that. 2.0, 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes. Start off with tiny tremors and build into minor earthquakes, and then it continued on. 2.5 earthquakes. Okay? Then it come over here to the red line and diminished greatly, and not much else happened. Okay? Yes, that happens that way. It does happen that way. But I want to show you that. The next one I'm going to show you, we're going to show you hundreds of earthquakes. Literally. Hundreds of earthquakes. Folks, this is Calipatria. This is over on the southeast end of the Salton Sea. As you can see up here, okay, this seismogram started at 2 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Okay? Then it went through 9:15, actually right before 9:15, it shut off. They shut off the seismograph. There's about 50 or 60 earthquakes and tremors here. That red line in the center left side up here at the top, that's a 2.0, actually not 2.0, it's about a 2.2, 2.3 earthquake, minor earthquake. And then over here on the far left, actually there's one here in the right center, or the center, this one, it's the red strike here. By the way, the red strikes are generated by the computer telling the seismologist, hey, this is important to look at. That's why we have these red markings here. Okay, so we have this one here in the center here. That is a 2.0, 2.2 magnitude quake. This one here to the right is also a 2.0, 2.2 magnitude earthquake. So we're having some minor earthquakes here. Okay, but overall there's about 50 earthquakes in this sequence here before they shut it off. Okay, they shut this thing off at, well, after 9:45. They shut it off at 8 p.m. last night. They shut off the seismograph at 8 p.m. They went all night long without having this seismograph going. Who knows what else happened in that time period? Okay? Then, they didn't turn it on again until just after 7:17 a.m. this morning. 7:17 a.m. this morning. So this was off 13 hours. This seismograph was off for 13 hours. Look at the earthquakes and tremors here. There's another 100 plus earthquakes here. On just this seismogram alone, there's about 120 earthquakes right here on this seismogram alone. That is a lot of activity. This is a ton of activity. Again, we asked the question of USGS, and this is the USGS seismogram. The others I've showed you here are done by Caltech. Done by Caltech. Yes, Caltech has its crazy stuff that they pull, but Caltech is told to do things by USGS. This is a USGS seismogram. USGS is responsible for the information on it. This is not the first time this has happened where they turn off the seismograph all night long. There are plenty of earthquakes during that time. Typically, we see 200 plus earthquakes on the entire seismogram. Here we have probably close to 150. That's a lot of information, huh? That's a lot of earthquakes down there at the Salton Sea. Some of the earthquakes here at Calipatria are caused by the volcano, the Salton Butte volcano there. The Salton Butte volcano. Now, let me move this over to the right. I'm going to go pull up the image of the Salton Sea on the USGS map so you can actually see what we're seeing and understand it. Okay, now let me reduce this map in size here. Again, that was up in Oregon. Okay, let's go down here to the Salton Sea. Okay, the USGS is showing us one earthquake down here in Westmoreland. This is a 1.6. We showed you a lot of tremors here in Westmoreland today, didn't we? A lot more than just a 1.6. So they're lying to us. They're not showing us what's going on. Over here, folks, this is Calipatria right here. This is Calipatria. This is where the San Andreas Fault comes out from underneath the Salton Sea. Okay? Over here, this is Bombay Beach, where the San Andreas Fault starts going underneath the Salton Sea right here. Bombay Beach with all those earthquakes here. Okay? Down here, Calipatria. Okay? Westmoreland is right here. They didn't show you Imperial because they didn't have the Imperial seismogram here today. Imperial is right there. Imperial, California is right there. Just a small town here in the Imperial Valley. Okay? Now, over here, I didn't have any seismogram here to show you the Salton City. Salton City is right here. This is over here off the northwest side of the Salton Sea. Salton City is a very tangled up community now. It's not much of a community at all. It's a ghost town. There's an old mobile home park with dilapidated motor homes here. Mobile homes, I should say, not motor homes, but mobile homes. And other structures here that have been left here to rot. Okay? Salton City. North Shore is right here. North Shore of the Salton Sea is over here on the northeastern side of the Salton City here. Or Salton Sea here. Okay? I showed you Westmoreland. Down here. Let's see here. There we are. Down here is that area that I just got through showing you of Holtville. Holtville is another small town here. This is where the Salton Sea Desert Research Station is. Just to give you a better idea. The Salton Sea Desert Research Station is cut through by the San Andreas Fault here. Okay? San Andreas Fault, like I said, cuts underneath the Salton Sea here, comes out here near Calipatria. It then goes west, southwest, over here to about 3/4 of the Salton Sea on the south side. Then it switches gears and goes almost directly southwest here and cuts right through the Imperial Valley, right through Holtville, and goes down here into Mexico. Cuts down here and goes right into Mexico, and all the way through Mexico, all the way down here until it goes into the Gulf of California right here. And you can see that red line here. That red line coming through the Imperial Valley, exiting out into northern Mexico and going out here into the Gulf of California. That is the San Andreas Fault. One other earthquake here on the San Andreas Fault down here in Mexico is Alberto Oviedo Mota, Baja California. Okay? It's also an important location. It's down here in the upper Baja California. It's a small town, actually. There's a small town here. Mostly it's a farming community. But we've had our share of earthquakes here. This is a 2.4 earthquake here. A 2.4 earthquake. We don't see any other earthquakes up here. Okay? Folks, we have a volcano here. Down here in northern Mexico. This is a Cerro Prado volcano here. See this phoenix they carved into the caldera of the Cerro Prado volcano? That's how you know that it's a Cerro Prieto volcano. It has a phoenix in the top of it. We also have a lot of earthquakes usually here as well. But again, they're not showing too many today. Because this is a volcano, guess what they have here? They have a geothermal station. Just like down at the Salton Sea, just like at the geysers, just like at Koza Volcano. A geothermal facility here where man is drilled into the upper magma chambers of the Cerro Prieto volcano to pull steam out of this volcano and generate electricity here. I don't know how many turbines they have here, but there are banks of turbines down here. There are banks of turbines right in here. Okay? So they have that here at the Cerro Prieto volcano as well. Any questions? Any questions? I know I've given you a lot of information tonight. I wanted to make sure that you understood what is going on here. That's why we've taken a lot of time and spoken about it. I think it was really necessary to totally understand what has happened. Okay? We talked about earthquakes around the globe, in the Ring of Fire, the Pacific Ring of Fire. We talked about earthquakes in California. There's a lot going on. Rob52 says give us a bunch of thumbs up, which we greatly appreciate as well. Please give us thumbs up. That goes into their big, huge bunch of numbers that they come out and tell us whether or not they're going to let anyone else here on YouTube see our program. Thumbs up means a lot to us. The other thing is, when you watch our program, how long do you watch our program? The longer you watch our program, the greater chance that YouTube is going to let other people watch our program as well. The amount of time. Usually we've had people that, we've had days where you watch the program 20, 25 minutes. Other times a half hour or so. We greatly appreciate that. The longer you watch our program, the more viewers we're going to get from YouTube. Okay? So there's thumbs up, there's viewership, the length of time that you watch our program, and also the number of comments you leave below our program after we go off the air. And also the number of people that comment on our program during our program in the chat. That also goes into their great big huge number flow, whether they decide whether or not our program is worthy of other YouTube people seeing it. So it's a great thing to have. We appreciate all of you here. We really do. I've answered some questions earlier about what's going down in the Middle East. Does anybody have any questions now? Does anybody have a question here? Heidi Porter says, may the Lord bless you and Carol in your marriage. We appreciate that greatly. And thank you so much for that. We really do. And Carol has also been monitoring the program as well. So I know she appreciates that. Okay, guys, we've come out here. We've been out here a long night. Okay? We started over here 2 hours ago. I want to read a scripture for you that goes along with everything we've been talking about tonight. This comes from Ephesians chapter 5, verse 6. And also I'm going to go down 6, 7, and 8. Ephesians 5, verses 6, 7, and 8. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. Be not ye partakers with them, for ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. Walk as children of light. I'm also going to go down into verse 9. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth. So the Lord doesn't want us to be deceived, does it? Not at all. Okay? Those that disobey will suffer the wrath of God. But ye be not ye therefore partakers with them. Don't follow after those kinds of people. Okay? But the Lord tells us in verse 8 that ye came out of darkness into the light. Light in the Lord, walk as children of light. That's who we are. We are knowledgeable, we know what's going on, and we've been taught what we need to do to go forward, to protect ourselves. That's what we're talking about. Carl Sr.'s asking when we'll be on next. We'll be on tomorrow evening, between 6 and 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. I had first scheduled to be on at 6 tonight. All kinds of things kept bombarding me at 6, and so I came on at 7. That's been happening a lot lately. Okay? But between 6 and 7 p.m. tomorrow night, we'll be back on the air. Now, that could change. If we have a great deal of information involving an extreme emergency or disaster, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. So we could be back on the air tonight. I doubt it, but it could happen. If something big happens in the Middle East, we'll be on the air to report it. I feel a great need to talk about it because everybody needs to know it for our safety. Because of what Joe Biden has done to our country, allowing anyone and everyone to come into our country. Hezbollah and these other fighters came in, along with everybody else that came into the country, unsupervised into this country. Some people we got caught by the Border Patrol. Yes, some people got caught by Customs Border agents, but some did not. They figure that some 9 million people have entered the United States just this year. And another 1 million people also entered but didn't get caught. Isn't that interesting? But we had protests in New York, Atlanta, Chicago, Atlanta, Chicago, New York, and San Diego, and other places. Those fighters down there from the Gaza Strip would never have been here in the United States had it not been for Joe opening up the border. You need to protect yourselves. Like I said, keep your head on a swivel. Okay? I'm armed. You don't see it, but I'm armed to the hilt right now. I'm armed to the hilt. It's highly unlikely that we'll get trouble here where I live, but I don't trust these people. Anywhere where you live, you could get hit. Keep your head on a swivel. Know everything going on around you, and you probably will be safe. Now, folks, like I said, we'll be back on the air tomorrow as soon as the information becomes available. We will. I'm going to tell you this. I love and appreciate everyone. Everyone that sees this program. All of you that help contribute to this program as well in terms of conversations in the chat, giving us these super chats. We really appreciate it. It means a lot because it helps keep us on the air. Watch what you're doing. Yes, make sure your doors and windows are latched. Make sure your doors and windows are latched. Be very careful even going out. Watch people around you. Don't let anybody be where you don't want to be. Okay? Thank you all for being here. May God be with you this day and always. God bless you. God be with you until we meet again. Have a great night, everybody. I love you. I care for you, and I want the best for all of us. God be with you till we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Thank you so much, everybody. Much love.